So at the beginning of 2023, I initially wanted to do a quick FUI-based project to just shoot 3 to 7 nice shots and put some 3D holograms and displays in it.
Did you do that?
No, that's not what happened.
We sat down and brainstormed what could we do, where could we use those user interfaces that we wanted the story to build around. And we came up with the idea of them carrying some sort of information that need to be extracted.
We intended to do no dialogue and nothing that we need to explain too much. And in the end, we thought that easier story, like her looking for her father, who somehow vanished years ago, was something that everyone would understand, and we wouldn't need too much language to actually tell the story.
I think the world building was pretty important for the cinematography to kind of understand the character better. We started out on a dolly and like a very, very flowy and almost bodiless camera movement, because Kira in that situation is like very sneaky and no one has noticed her yet, and she's like trying not to make a sound. And then when the other ship docks and when shit hits the fan, pretty much, we really wanted to highlight that moment and then switch from these really, really smooth and steady dolly shots to the shoulder camera, which is a lot more stressful.
So I love classical sci-fi, and we thought let's do as sci-fi as possible. So we wouldn't want to have a rectangular room. It would have to be hexagonal or octagonal, like something very sci-fi.
We came up with a sci-fi setting and thought this could be visually very appealing. Let's just have the setting be a space station. And of course, having a space station is hard to shoot on location. So we got the chance to actually shoot it here in the studio at Filmakademie. And that's why we had to come up with some ideas for production design for a space station.
When I heard that there was this project with space, and I really love space, I'm a space nerd, so that was like, when I got the call, it was set design and it was space, I was like, okay, I'm all in. Yeah.
I think we started by the general concept of the motion designs and the hexagonal form, which we wanted to include in the room, and then we kind of looked at different movies and different designs that we liked and didn't like, and how clean we wanted or how dystopian we wanted, and from there on we went into planning, into concepts, into renderings, and decided what we liked and what we didn't like.
Basically everything you see has hexagons in it. The walls, the designs, even the way the hexagonal displays come together with the production design. There's like a honeycomb everywhere. We had this whole color concept of the old and the established hologram of blue, and then the contrast and Kira's contrast to the story of the decoding and the coming in with some fresh energy, a new energy, the orange. So it was really nice to have this orange in her crystal and work with the different departments to make this happen, to have this signature color basically for the character.
We talked about the whole idea of the movie, the character. We talked about what kind of colors do they want, what kind of science fiction direction do they want to go. And then I started to do a mood board and we talked about it. And in the end, the whole outfit is in black and gray. In contrast to the black and to the gray, we tried to have a little bit of color, just not too much because we wanted to stay in that dark and warrior kind of theme. But I did some seams where I used a cover stitch in orange to match the vibe of the colors and to also match her crystal that she's wearing the whole time. And that turned out really cool.
The story really lent itself to doing a couple of light changes in different scenes. For example, the first one and also the biggest one is the light change when the space station is kind of on the normal mode and then the alarm goes off and we go to this darker, more ambient lighting.
We started with thinking about how would a space station be lit in its everyday, but also we needed that kind of emergency lighting situation. And we also got into like fucking up that space station because it was already left and loose. So we were thinking, how would a space station lighting age if it's not maintained very well?
We designed the whole set in Blender and did 3D renderings and also videos, especially in the previs, which was quite informative for us, as we could also see the camera angles and which areas we need to focus on and which areas are less important.
I think the previs was a really, really crucial part of the whole pre-production. Even with lighting, we were able to put lighting in the previs. So we could already try out some of our lighting ideas without the set being built. And I think that was really, really helpful.
We tried to minimize VFX shots, so the idea was to put everything we could in camera.
In the previous, we could see when the light source would be on screen and needed to be painted out in VFX later, or would be off screen. So it's not a VFX shot, but still the light that the holograms emit is there seen on the actor's face.
Also, when you work with so many different departments and you want all of them on the same page, I think the previs for that was insanely important. And it was also fun.
Especially the displays were really important for the shoot because they needed to be done, they needed to be animated, and we needed the options to have it interact with the actress. The way that the door opens and the countdown, it just needed to be well prepared in how we would need it in post afterwards without actually putting more work into it that was necessary.
We had 1 month of building time, and I think it took us a good 1 to 2 weeks to really get into the groove and to get things working.
The basic idea for the whole holograms was that Kira had this device, the crystal, that was made as a prop and also as a reference for the post-production as well, because in the end we did have to do it in 3D as well for the glowing and flying in the hologram.
Without being asked to do it, I started improvising and like experimenting. I was like, oh, I could just like build something. I had some UV resin at home and I just started trying out different shapes and different forms, and then the crystals came out of that.
No, I'm not usually on set. Usually I'm sitting in front of my computer all day. So it was, I think the most exciting part for me was to have all these ideas at the beginning and then standing in this set that was all about holograms, that was filled with people who were so excited about this project.
We had a deadline when this film had to be done, so we had very little time to create a full set build, production, post-production with all the VFX you need in a hologram. So the biggest headache probably was the time of this and the time for the post-production we have, because we knew if we wanted to make it look good, there will probably be a big VFX workload. And the biggest challenge was, how do we reduce this workload? The problem with holograms is that they are something that is not on set, but that in the end, in the film, emits light. And so we had to come up with some idea of either doing it the classical way and doing rotomation in the end and having the whole set and everything and the actress in 3D and rendering the light of the holograms in post-production, which is very time and energy consuming. So that was not an option for us. So we had the light of the holograms already on set. So we then in the end just had to comp in the holograms. We knew that this was a bigger task for the lighting department to actually have the animated lights for the holograms on set.
Lighting something that's not actually there is a task. In early stages of the project, we did not already have a real feeling for the final holograms. So Zoi and her team provided some rough sketches to me and kept continuing them.
Every single stage of the hologram was pre-animated for the camera department and the lighting department to have something to work with. So we had somewhat a framework of what would happen.
So during that process, it got more and more clear to me how the light would emit into the room and would be cast back by reflective.
We had to hide a lot of lights in the set design, so we had to work really, really closely with the set design. And then also programming all the lights. I think we had about 80 asteras, and then also sky panels. So there were just a lot of lights that needed to be programmed for different lighting situations.
In a project like Spark, where you have like all this animated light going on, is hard to do, especially if you're not like on completely dimmable fixtures. So that's why we decided to work only with LED.
To stand in the room that we had seen in like concept arts and we had seen in the previs for so long, that was a really, really cool moment, standing in that room and then all the light fixtures working in the way that we wanted them to.
Immediately after the shoot, we started with specific things in the post-production. Like there was this first shot that would be full CG. That was something that was going on all the time. We had the ship that needed to be modeled and designed and just put through different stages. And while editing, we started to set up our VFX shots as well.
On the one side, we had Zoi as a motion designer who worked on her designs and the holograms. And on the other side, we had, at the same time, working a whole VFX crew who already did match move, cleanups. And then there was Lukas who set up a pipeline and really helped us like keeping the whole VFX process smoothly working?
My task really started when the edit came around. Then we implemented this in our shot pipeline. So basically I did set up all the shots so every of the artists could start working on them. After setting up the shots for the artist, we started iterating with the director of every creative decision, implementing the UIs and holograms into the plate.
We thought that the motion design and the VFX process would somewhat be the same, but we quickly realized that it was a very different process. It was balancing the actual design and making it look realistic.
We had to figure out a way to approach this with both sides and come up with a solution afterwards.
We realized that we just needed to talk about everything constantly and literally sitting together in front of the computer, trying different things until we were both happy. We had various stages of what the holograms actually looked like. We started out with just basic geometry and cubical elements everywhere, just trying to plot out where everything would be. And then we just put in more detail, and then we did the 3D scan of the dad, which exchanged the metahuman that we used for a long time. It changed the whole mood. So when everything came together, it just changed and evolved constantly.
A lot of back and forth, a lot of iterations, like hundreds of iterations for just the one UI. After we figured out like how can we approach this whole look dev process, the rest was pretty straightforward. And then we had our workflow, we knew where to go, and we knew how to iterate with each other. We had this glass tank basically around the UIs and then the different UI elements inside, and then you can play around with compositions and put stuff here, put stuff there. It was quite fun. On-set lighting helped a lot. Sometimes we have to change the lighting of the plate, like just a touch, just so it feels better in the edit. But most of the time we could just take it out of the box. It did make the process faster and easier because the timing was fixed, so we don't need to think of, yeah, okay, can we push this 2 frames to the front or 2 frames to the back? So it was, yeah, okay, at that frame, we're gonna have something pop up or change lighting or change the color and stuff. So that was pretty easy forward.
I was really, really anxious to see how the whole light immersion would work. And then when we got into the grading suite with my amazing colorist, Jacob, I think I saw it for the first time in the grading suite, and I was so impressed. Like, I was insanely proud of Zoi for getting such a cohesive look together. Just seeing something that so many people work at something for so long and putting their heart and soul into it, and then seeing it come together and it working out and looking so good, that's just really rewarding. And then the grading was just the icing on the cake.
I think the sound design of Spark was pretty special because we had like a huge playground to try things out. My approach to sound design in general is to make it as naturally as possible. And everything that's kind of fictional works on the base of like the natural sound design. It was a challenge to do the actual interface because it's water powered. So it was just pretty fun to get different water sounds and synthesize them and just have fun with it.
Everything came together so well, and everyone was so invested in this project.
I think what was most enticing for me was the aspect of them wanting to showcase every department's strengths and giving every department a fair share of creative liberty.
This 10-month project was very refreshing. It was very intense, 10 months, and now we have a cool film done. And we're sitting here doing interviews about it.
To say the least, I was flabbergasted. I really, 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 really loved seeing it.
Yeah, Spark was one of my most favorite projects in the past 2 years.
We, of course, learned a lot, had a few challenges on the way, but nothing too big. So I enjoy looking back to that time.
That was the most fun, to see everything work out so great with so many great people.
That was just a beautiful experience, I guess. Yep.
It was just a crazy experience to start from basically doing a personal FUI project that evolved into such a big production with so many people and so many excited people, and seeing everything come together. And I couldn't be happier with the outcome. I love what we created, and it was so much fun working on it. It was very hard at times as well. Like, there was so much sweat and so much anxiety, I think, at some stages, but I think we did so well, and we learned a lot from each other, and it was just the best time. Yeah.
I think all the risks that we took and all the work that we put in really paid off in the end, and that's what you want with filmmaking.